Should I just use AI for search? Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. You know, Google was once the go-to search engine for the internet. Google it even became a generic term for looking something up online. In recent months, though, there's been a very heavy shift to a different type of answer engine, AI chatbots like ChatGPT and others. I want to review the pros and the cons and the risks and the impact of the differing choices. But first, we need to review just what the differences are between the two. They're different in concept. Search engines like Google and Bing and others work by amassing massive indexes of information from having crawled, meaning they've read, all of the web pages on all of the websites that they can access. These indexes then, which factor in hundreds of different factors, are used to, in essence, answer the question, which pages on the internet best represent the terms being searched for? On the other hand, AI is trained on massive data sets, which range from specific sets of training data to that same, all of the web pages on all of the websites that they can access. The goal of all this training is, in essence, to answer the question, what words would best follow the words that have been typed in by a user? So put this in extremely simple terms. A search engine is basically a lookup. Get pages that relate to a word or a phrase. While AI, specifically large language models, is really just a glorified autocomplete. Return the best next word and the next and the next and so on. That AI works in place of a search engine is that, by and large, the best next words to follow any question or term are often the very answer we're looking for. Now, AI can hallucinate, and search can miss. By now, I'm sure you've heard of AI hallucinations, basically an AI response that's simply and completely wrong. That whole best next word model has nothing to do with accuracy. If the most appropriate response to a question doesn't exist, AI can make it up. AI doesn't know how to say, I don't know. This is all a function of the training data. The more data AI has trained on, the more likely it is to have an appropriate and correct answer somewhere. Yet, if the data the AI has been trained on is wrong or misleading, the AI wouldn't know. Search isn't perfect either, but it's more reliant on the way a search is phrased, and ambiguous and incomplete search terms can lead to wildly off-topic results. In addition, search engines are constantly being gamed by individuals trying to get their pages, often poor quality, irrelevant, or even malicious, to rank higher in the results. Both techniques require that we maintain a healthy level of skepticism and independent confirmation. Unfortunately, many people seem to skip this step for both. AI prioritizes giving you an answer to your question or search terms. It may or may not include references to where those answers came from. A search engine prioritizes giving you the references to the web pages that presumably contain what it is you're looking for. Many search engines are now also including an AI-generated summary that may or may not suffice as the answer you're looking for. Most search engines are constantly scouring the web for up-to-date information. Websites that change often or produce timely information, such as news sites, are crawled more frequently to include their latest information in the search results. AIs, on the other hand, typically train on a snapshot of the data, meaning that what they know is only as current as when that snapshot was taken. Some AIs are now augmenting their responses with traditional searches that are then factored into their responses to overcome that limitation. Search results are heavily influenced by ads, especially when those ads are difficult to distinguish from the organic search results, SEO tactics used by those people trying to game the system, and just general website and page popularity. More than anything, AI is a product of its training data. If that data is limited in scope or is self-biased in some way, then the AI will be similarly limited and biased. AI is also subject to guardrails implemented by each provider, attempting to prevent AI from generating responses that would be considered inappropriate. Now, perhaps the most controversial topic when it comes to AI, well, next to whether or not it's making us dumber or will lead to our extinction, is its impact on the environment. Specifically, AI uses a lot of energy. Sure, the Google data center powering Google search uses a lot of energy as well, but depending on what it is you measure, electricity use, CO2 generation, or something else, AI is apparently somewhere between 10 and 100 times more energy hungry. The reason is actually pretty simple. Search is a lookup. Take the search terms, look up the most appropriate pages from the index, and return those. An AI response, on the other hand, is a computation, and that takes more work. It's the difference between looking up a word in a book's index versus having to write a paragraph about that word from scratch. Okay, so with all those differences, concepts, issues, concerns out of the way, what does it mean? Here's what I do. If I have something that feels like a traditional search, maybe I want to find the website for a company or look up the definition of a word, or I want something that needs to be as up-to-date as possible, I'll use a traditional search. These days, for me, that's Kaji. And for the record, while I may pay for many of the products I mention in this video, including Kaji, none of them are paying me to talk about them. If I have something that feels more like a question, perhaps even something that I might consider half-baked, I'll throw that question at an AI-based search engine like Perplexity. AI seems to do a better job of understanding, or at least simulating an understanding of what it is I'm trying to ask. I've gotten great responses by just pasting in an error message as my question, for example. I particularly appreciate that Perplexity includes explicit references to the sources for its answers. And if I want AI to do something, like summarize an article or suggest what aspects of a topic I might be missing, or similarly creative tasks, including image generation, I head over to ChatGPT. In other words, I use both search and AI, each for what I feel it's best for. More than anything else, though, is that I remain skeptical of what I'm told, regardless of where it comes from. I try very hard not to let any of these tools, or any of the others I might try, lull me into complacency. The answers have to pass the sniff test, and references need to be checked anytime I'm not 100% certain. Bottom line, ChatGPT actually put this the most succinctly, so I'll quote it. Instead of might not be the right question. AI and search engines serve different strengths. So that's my suggestion. Why not both? Experiment with AI. Find out where it works best for you, but don't hesitate to use a search engine for the things that it's best at. Above all, remain skeptical of both. Never blindly accept answers without some amount of verification that what they're telling you is accurate. For links, for updates, for comments, and more, visit askleo.com/184118. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.